but I don't want to make this too formal. As you all know, we're an SCL project. Everybody be nice to each other, etc. Um, so I just want to make sure that everybody had a chance to check in and that people kind of knew what we were doing. And if it's not going to take too long, I thought maybe we just go around and people could say real quick, like what they do with Kubernetes and what they're hoping to get out of this volunteer cycle. That'd be okay. I'm going to pick on Alima first.
Yeah, sounds good. Hi everyone, my name's Alima. I also work at Microsoft on Matt's team, and I just started about 2 months ago. Most of my work so far has been with CAPZ, or like the Azure equivalent. So I joined this to get more exposure with Cappy. And yeah, really excited.
Awesome. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. Sorry for the background noise, not noise. I'm Sepide. I'm from Adobe. I'm a soft site reliability engineer. I was part of the CI signal team for the previous release for Cappy. I was interested to learn more and get more hands-on. So I joined back this release.
Welcome back. Thank you. Who's next? Mohammed, you
I
want to go?
can, yeah, I can go next. For me, I work at Ericsson, so mostly work with Metal Cube and Cluster API Metal Cube. Um, I have some experience related to CI team and also leading this team. Um, this cycle I joined because V1 Beta 2 is coming for the Cluster API. And I was thinking like joining the race team, it will be really helpful for us to like know what is happening there and also help the CI team in if some issues happen. So it will help also the Metal Cube team, and it will also help, I think, Cappy team if they have like more people in the CI team. So yeah, that's the aim of joining this release cycle. Yep,
Awesome.
yep, that's mostly it from my side.
Welcome, Mohammed. Swastik, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Swastik. I am in the same team as Chirayu at InfraCloud Technologies, and I also am a CNCF ambassador and a former Google Summer of Code and an LFX mentee at Project Kyverno. And currently, I also am a Google Summer of Code mentor at Project House.
Cool. Welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody. I don't want to take up forever, but I thought it was good to know each other. I'm Matt Boersma. I was the release lead. I work at Microsoft. I was the release team lead last cycle, and I switched with Chris this time. And this job is actually more work than being the release lead. And as Mohammed, you were alluding to, this was probably going to be a pretty interesting release because with V1 Beta 2 showing up, we're likely to run into some interesting new bugs and CI issues, and uh, it's probably not going to be a smooth, simple release like the last one was. So that's good. It means there'll be interesting things to do, I assume, at some point. Um, yeah, so hopefully everyone has had a chance to read through this document that um, that we have. I have some minor corrections. I'm going to put a PR up to this, but it's mostly just grammar stuff to make it easier to read. Um, so generally, we are responsible for checking that CAPZ CI is healthy more or less all the time. Although, as we point out here, this is not a it's not an on-call duty. Don't ever worry about this in the middle of the night. Don't worry about this outside of don't worry about this in general. But we want to check in with test grid every day to make sure that we don't see too many failures. And essentially, our main job is triage, which means we find the failures and we report them, and then we let them go, and someone else fixes them. Now, if we want to get intrepid and if we have the time and we want to try and fix things on our own, that would be great. But it's not really the definition of the job. Um, And that's not how it went last cycle. Last cycle, essentially, when we found new issues, we made sure to communicate about them. We made sure there was a issue in GitHub. We probably mentioned it on Slack, and usually the maintainers pounced on it and fixed it, or were already aware of it. So that's probably how it'll go this time as well. So we should think of our job as first just making sure that Cappy in general is aware of any new failures that happen. If we have insight into those failures and we feel like we can fix them, that's awesome, and we're definitely encouraged to do that. But I just want to make it clear, like, you shouldn't feel like you have to fix everything, because that's not how it would work if we were actually on call for something, and that's not realistic in this world. I've been working with Cappy for several years, but uh, it takes me a while to figure out where a failure is coming from and how to fix it. It's a big code base. Um, the other main stuff is really not relevant right now. Setting up the jobs and dashboards for a new release branch doesn't actually happen for a couple months until we get to the point where we're creating a new release branch. So you can read through this, and there's just some mostly clerical stuff that we have to do, and we can do this together when the time comes. But for right now, it's actually, I don't know. I thought about rearranging this document because maybe this should come last, because chronologically it's the last thing we do. But this makes it look like it's our most important duty, but it really isn't. Um, yeah, and then beyond that, once the release is cut, meaning the minor release that we're working on 1.11, then there's some clerical tasks to do. Basically, we won't be testing the v1.8 at that point any longer, so we got to remove it from tests and stuff. So at a high level, does that make sense to everybody what we're doing here? Does anyone have any questions? I know, Sepida, you've done this before, so it's probably not much interesting here, but so then in terms of how do we know if there's a failure, you can just go check test grid every day, which is essentially what I've been doing, but then that's kind of on you to remember to do that. So presumably you've all been here, but if you haven't, testgrid.k8s.io is the big dashboard for all testing that Kubernetes does. And if we go to SIG cluster lifecycle, there's one for, oops, I went too far. There's this link for SIG cluster lifecycle cluster API. And basically this is where we want to go first. This is the main branch. And you want to look at all these tests, and then as soon as they start saying PR in the title, just ignore them, because that means that was someone's pull request run. And if it failed, it probably failed because of good reason. So really, we're only looking at these top ones here. Here's a test that was flaky. Something went wrong a couple days ago, and it's been green since then. Maybe I'm jaded, but I'm not even going to look into this one because that doesn't quite rise to the level of we should investigate, in my opinion. If you want to go dig into this random failure last night and see what happened, and then, okay, quick start should create a workload cluster. And then we got a big stack trace. So if you want to dig into this, find kind of the core error, something with WebSockets, and then pop back to Cappy and make sure that we have an issue that captures exactly this. And if we don't create one, that would be perfect. But when it's this random and this rare, I'm at the point where it would need to be the most recent failure, and there would have to be a couple of them before I'm really going to investigate it. But right now, just because this is a complicated test world and there's always going to be a certain amount of failures. So that's my personal assessment. If you want to be more circumspect, please do so. But when I look at this, these ones are green. These ones have had a single flake in the last week, and the recent tests are green. So my personal criteria is I don't think there's anything to investigate here. And then we want to do the same for CAPI 1.8 and 1.9 and 1.10. And that's essentially all we're responsible for. Checking these 4 web pages, seeing that nothing has actually turned red or that nothing's gotten more serious than, hey, there was a flake a few days ago, but things are green now. If anything doesn't fall into that general bucket, then we want to make some noise about it, or at least talk with each other about, hey, does this look like a failure to you? And then the end goal is make sure that there's an issue in CAPI if it's a new thing, and probably also mention it on the cluster API channel so maintainers are specifically aware of it, because lots of issues come in and they'll miss it. So I think I've restated it a few times. Are there any questions?
I have one. I
Yeah.
think it would be really helpful if there was like an example of an issue from like the last cycle, just to take a look at how it was reported and like what kind of what kind of test like failed and how it was reported.
That's a great idea. I I don't have one at hand, but I bet Chris could find one
It's,
for us.
sounds good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I should have cooked something like that up. And I bet he's even got a recording that goes over something like that. But
Okay, yeah, I'll Slack him for that.
well,
If
I'll try and dredge something up and maybe I can point a link out to it. Because yeah, that'd be a great example of, oh, here's one they found last cycle, and here's the bug that got reported, and here's who fixed it.
yeah, just to prepare mentally what it would kind of go
Yeah.
looking.
But at a high level, don't worry about how to report it and stuff. I mean, just if we're sloppy or if we describe it slightly incorrectly or anything like that, that's totally fine. The main point is that we made sure to notice it. But yeah, I'll try and find a specific example, like a case study would be good for us all to look at, I think.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah. Um,
There is a, I
yeah.
can tell you something about the issue. So there is a template when you create an issue in Cluster API. So there is a template where you can mention if it's a flake, it has like all the headings like make made pretty, so it's pretty easy to yeah, if you go to new issue and there is a failing test and also flaking test. So here you can add like different things that are asked. So
They
test
specifically want to
grid
link
link
to
here.
test grid. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how you can report the issues. And you can, I think, if you search the issues, you can find some already reported issue and see how that was reported and just, I think, follow that.
I if I remember, the label might be flake.
Yeah. Yes, in the label, there are two labels, failing and flaking. Yeah, maybe this one.
Awesome.
There's an old one that didn't get, maybe there's a closed one that we can. Okay, here's one. Okay, good. So Chris found 3 of the main jobs were failing, and management cluster was failing, started failing on this date. There's a link to it in test grid. And then Stefan said to take a look at it. Chris gave a little more information. It's a Kubernetes issue at the core. Looks like we don't have to worry about it because it doesn't happen with the supported versions of Kubernetes. And so it got closed and then it got reopened and then it got closed. Okay. So that's a success story. We found something. We made the maintainers aware of it. They knew it was related to a Kubernetes upstream bug. We kept an eye on it. It went away. It got closed. And here's several other examples that Chris created last cycle. So these are probably all good. So maybe that's enough to ground us.
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mohammed. That's great. Um, and then I was wondering if we thought it'd be more efficient to have like a rotating duty, like you know, so we're not all responsible for checking in every day. Maybe we could be like, I'm Monday, I'm Tuesday, I'm Wednesday, and then your job on that day is to check test grid and let the rest of us know if there's a problem. Does that seem like something we should do, or do people want to get assigned a day, or does that seem too intrusive?
I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it because there's also 5 of us, so it
Yeah.
works out perfectly.
Yeah,
Well,
that's fine.
I can take. Well, I don't care what day, Tate. So who wants to just pick a day, and then we'll make the assignments here. Sepida, you spoke up first, so you get to choose.
Oh, sure. So you checked today or no?
No, any
Okay.
days.
Okay. No, like I mean, like, have you already checked
Oh,
Tuesday?
I have checked today. Yes, I have.
Okay. So I'll start from tomorrow. So
Okay,
Wednesday.
you've got Wednesday. Who wants to go next? Just call it out.
I can go next.
You want to take Thursday
Thursday.
or do you Thursday? Okay.
So this will be every week, Thursday, right?
That's the idea, is try
Yeah,
and
okay.
set a reminder in the morning, go check test grid, and then let the rest of us know. And I mean, I'll try to check test grid as well during the day, so it's not things don't fall through the cracks, but I think this will help.
And I mean, the community is very supportive. Like, if you have any questions or doubts or don't know if something is supposed to be reported or not, like, you can just mention it in the chat and we all check and
Yeah.
we'll figure it out together.
Yeah, it says somewhere in the docs, if you're ever in doubt, uh, err on the side of over communicating. So, um, Swastik, do you want to take
Yeah, that's fine.
Friday or is that good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Friday.
we can take Monday.
Okay, Alima's got Monday and I'll do Tuesday. All right. Um, yeah, that's all I had on my mind, but what other questions do people have? Does this feel like you know what you need to do or um and generally speaking, if you do run into something and you have any questions or you want to like debug it more, I'm totally available to pair a lot of the time and I'd love to dig into stuff with you. But hopefully like the team in general feels like we can do that. So I'd love to see like, oh, you found something in test grid, you're not sure how serious it is. You go communicate in the release channel or in cluster API, and then maybe one or two of us are available and we're like, yeah, we'll hop onto Zoom and look at that with you. I think that'd be great if we could get there. Um, but however it works out, I'm sure we can keep it covered.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll let you go unless anybody has any other questions or anything. And
Just confirm
yeah, go ahead.
our weekly meetings are going to be same day, same time, right?
Well, do we want to have weekly meetings? Do we think that's important? My impression is that Chris had a few of them, and then after like the second or third one, people stopped showing up in general, which is natural.
You
But
shouldn't have said that, but now you're setting the expectation of, yeah,
that's
okay.
right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
happy to have a weekly meeting if we think it's worth checking in, but I'm also, um, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't want
Um,
to. Yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with async checks on Slack. The only thing I would like to be involved in is, like, as we make progress in the release cycle, like the tasks that we would have to do and check like each week if there's something for CI signal, for example. Like, I would like us to touch base on that and just see where we're at, if there's anything specific we need to do other than the test grid stuff.
yeah. Generally, the answer is going to be no until we get closer to the cutting the release branch and all that.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like I was saying earlier, I'd like that to be all of us or as many people as are interested. We can all swarm on those activities.
What's the
Um,
timeline for when the release branch will be cut?
I should go look at the document. It's about 2 months from now,
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think. Um, So I don't know. I guess I'm hoping we can just communicate a lot on Slack and not necessarily have a weekly meeting, but uh, we should see how that goes. There is also the general release meeting right before this where we can certainly use that as a place for us to sync up.
True.
If people can go to that. So why don't we try that for now? And if we feel like we're kind of not communicating well enough or losing touch, we can certainly resurrect this meeting every week, or we can do ad hoc stuff. So
Yeah,
okay.
sounds good
Yeah,
to me.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I think if we have like we are debugging something, like there is some issue that we are trying to fix ourselves, then maybe have a joint debugging session is fine. Other people can learn how things work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think we need to have a weekly meeting. I think that's fine.
Okay. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would love for us to swarm on issues like that because I feel like that's what we can all really get out of this is learning more by actually debugging stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can, if there is some issue that we can, I think that would be nice. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, let's call it good for now. I'll talk to you on Slack. See you soon. Thanks everybody for showing up.
See you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.